According to American journalist Tucker Carlson, Vladimir Putin is the most effective leader of his time. I agree with him. Let's put away all the hatred for Vladimir Putin aside and look at Vladimir Putin from a critical point. And it is true that there is no leader that can be compared to Vladimir Putin from 2000 till date. I've told you guys before that the main reason why the Russians love Vladimir Putin is simple. Because before Vladimir Putin took over, if you look at the state in which Russia as a country was in, and if you look at where Vladimir Putin has risen the status of Russia to, there is no argument. He's the best president of this our generation. There is no president that can be compared to him. Name that person in the comment section. I want to know any president that can be compared to Vladimir Putin in this our generation. I'm waiting. Today, in fact, I'm not feeling well. You see why I said I agree with Tucker Carlson that Vladimir Putin is the most effective leader of this generation. Currently, gold has hit all-time record. Gold has passed 3,600 for first time in history, jumping to a new all-time record high. The price of gold before the conflict started is half of what is today. Between 2014 to 2020, a time when gold price ranged from about 1,100 to 1,500 per ounce. So, before this conflict started, the price of gold per ounce was around 1,500. Now it is around 3,600. Now, let me explain why Putin is smart. You see, at this time, Putin was buying more gold. Putin made sure that he bought more gold for the Russian economy, to sustain the Russian economy. This is one reason why all these sanctions are not hurting the Russian economy. He decided to hold Russian reserves in precious metals, not in papers. Right? He decided not to put Russian resources or Russian reserves in physical cash. But he decided to put Russian reserves into gold. And today, look at where gold prices are. So just imagine if Russia decides to sell some of their gold today on the world market. Imagine the amount of money that the Russians are going to make for their economy. Putin is smart. I always tell you guys that a good leader is a leader who is able to foresee the future and act before whatever will happen. That is who a good leader is. Another interesting development from Belgium. Belgium will not transfer frozen Russian assets despite Commission's plan, according to the foreign minister. So the country with the most Russian frozen asset is Belgium. I think by now all of you know this story about this Russian frozen asset. Now Belgium is saying that they are not going to transfer this frozen Russian asset to the Ukrainians because according to European Union President Ursula von der Leyen, he wants to give all this Russian frozen asset money to the Ukrainians. And Belgium is saying no. Many European countries are saying no. But most of these assets are with Belgium. And the reason Belgium is saying no is not because they love the Russians. The reason is simple. They don't want to set bad precedents. Because the moment they agree and give this Russian frozen asset to the Ukrainians, that is going to become a problem for foreign investors who invest in these countries. Right? Because nobody is going to trust them again. You understand? It's because of issues like this. That is why more countries are moving towards Russia and China. Them freezing Russian asset was a big mistake by the Europeans because it became a trust issue between them and other countries. Because other countries were looking at the Europeans, they were like, what are you guys doing? Because the Russians are fighting with the Ukrainians, so you just decided to take the Russian money. Meaning, if it happens to us, you're also going to do the same thing to us. So nobody trusts them again. It was a big mistake. And some of these countries realized these mistakes And that is why they don't want to continue with this whole Russian frozen asset issue. They just don't want to give it out to the Europeans. Even, I think somewhere last 3 years or last 2 years, Portugal made similar statement. They said the laws in their country don't permit them to give out these resources to the European Union or to the Ukrainians. They can't just take somebody's money and hand it over to a different country because of the laws in their countries. You understand? So these guys, they shot themselves in the foot. And instead of them to rectify these mistakes and correct them, they continue to shoot themselves in the foot. Interesting time ahead. Your opinion is very, very important. Let me know what you think about whatever is happening around the world today in the comment section. Shalom. See you guys in the next episode. Thank you for watching.